Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to day 10 of 30 anchors in 30 days. Now, this is the training where I give you a platform for you to use your faith to bring transformation to the 11 most important life domains. Now, these 11 life domains are grouped into 3 relationship groups. Now, if you want to find out more about that, I've done a training which I'm giving to you for free. If you're on Instagram, just click on my bio. You'll find access to the training, 3 relationship groups. Anywhere else, you'll find a link right under this video. Today, we're going to continue with our conversation in the 4th life domain. This is your accountability circle. Today's foundational truth is built on this: give as good as you have and not as good as you get. I repeat, give as good as you have and not as good as you get. And this foundational truth is built up from Matthew chapter 12 verse 35, where it says, a good man brings good things out of the good stored up in him. I repeat, a good man brings out good things out of the good stored up in him. Now, we've already established the components within the accountability circle, and that's where you have your accountability friends, masterminds, and mentorship relationship. Now, one of the things that happens within this relationship is that you are getting value. And because you are getting value, sometimes you feel that pressure that, because these people are giving this much to you, you have to sort of try and match it or top it. No, you are not required to give as good as you are getting within this relationship. You are required to give as good as you have. That is the overarching theme. Now, I'm going to use an example within the Bible. The sort of first accountability friendship that we have. Thank you very much, Biola, for joining. The first accountability friendship that we have, and that's between David and Jonathan. Now, the Bible records that after the battle of David killing Goliath, Jonathan saw him and his heart was knit with him, and to affirm the friendship between the two of them, he gave David his robe, he gave him his tunic, his bow, and his arrow. Now, we don't have any account of David giving anything to Jonathan. The point here is this: at that point in time, the only thing that David could give was the value of his word. That was the only treasure that David had inside of him that he could give, as it were, to match what it is that Jonathan had given to him. What you have to realize is that every relationship that we find ourselves in, there are 3 types of streams within the different types of relationships. One, there are relationships in which you get more than you are given. The second type of relationship, there are relationships in which you give more than you are getting. And there's the third relationship whereby the two of you are almost giving as good as you are getting from each other. But the foundation for all these 3 relationships is that, look, you don't put yourself under unnecessary pressure. The overarching theme, thank you very much, Morakio, for joining. The overarching theme is that, look, you are giving based on what you have inside of you, not trying to copy or trying to match what the person is giving at any particular point in time. And I've been in that kind of relationship. I remember my best buddy when I was in my undergraduate days. Now, at the start of the relationship, he was the one, I was getting more than I was giving. I was basically giving to the measure of what I had inside of me. And so it looked like not that it looked like, in reality, he was giving more than he was getting. But as that relationship matured, as I also grew in my ability to derive value from my relationship with God, I was able to bring more into that relationship, such that later on, it became almost like a mutual exchange between the two of us, in terms of we were both getting from each other as we were both giving to each other. And that's what you have to realize when you come into your accountability circle. Don't be under pressure to match whatever it is that you are getting from the different relationships, whether it is your accountability friends, whether it is you are within a mastermind, or whether it is even within a mentorship, especially within a mentorship group. You don't necessarily have to try and match whatever the mentor is giving to you. The important thing here is this: you are giving as much value as you have inside of you. That is the responsibility that you have within this relationship within the relationships on your accountability circle. Your most important thing is every day when you show up within those relationships, you are giving based on the value that you have inside of you, not trying to be a carbon copy of what the other. So, for example, let's imagine the other person is giving so much value. You now decide that, look, you must find a way of matching what that person is giving. And so because of that, you start inventing and creating. Bottom line, you start becoming a fake of who you are. The important thing is when you come into this relationship, remember exactly who you are. I'm going to go back to that same story, the story of David and Jonathan. Like I said, at the point when that relationship started, it seemed more like David was getting more than he was he was getting more than he was giving into the relationship. At the start of the relationship, we have Jonathan giving him his tourney, giving him his bow, giving him his belt to seal up the relationship. Probably the only thing that David had at that point in time was the value of his word. That was the only thing. Probably maybe David shared some of the Psalms. I don't know if Jonathan was somebody who liked listening to Psalms. Maybe David shared some of the Psalms he had been writing. But I mean, later on, even in the relationship, we find out that Jonathan offered protection to David when his father Saul was trying to kill David. There was the time in which Saul said, I'm going to take out David, and it was Jonathan that went to speak to his dad. I was like, how can you do this? Remember when this man took up his life and went and killed Goliath? You were so excited, and because of that, Saul said, no, I'm not going to do anything at this point in time. And we have it later on that there was a point in time when David felt that his life was at risk from Saul, and Jonathan was like, I've never heard about this. And he actually tried to mediate between Saul and David, and Saul in anger actually threw a spear at him to try and kill him. But throughout all this period, the only thing that we can see that David brought into that relationship was the value of his word, such that by the time Jonathan was no longer alive, when Jonathan had passed on to the great beyond, and David was now king, the value of David's word became the basis of which Jonathan's descendants could hold on to. We had Mephibosheth who, even though he was crippled, but because of the value of David's word that he had given to Jonathan, he elevated Mephibosheth. He elevated him and brought him to sit at his table, gave him access to all the property and all the land assets that belonged to his grandfather Saul. Point I'm making here is this: such a wonderful person who was confident in himself, so that at the beginning of that relationship, there was nothing he had to offer other than the value of his word. But the value of his word, years later, became the anchor for the descendants of Jonathan. And that's what I want you to find confidence in today. That look, whatever value that you bring into every relationship, even though it might seem like you might be getting more value from that relationship than you are putting into that relationship, realize that, look, that value that you have inside of you, later, sometime in the future, is going to become something that the other person is going to lay hold on. And if you are in a relationship whereby it seems like you are giving more than you are getting, don't be discouraged. Why? Because that is the value of the good that you have inside of you. If you have so much, if God has placed so much good inside of you, and you are in that season of life whereby you can give more than you are getting, continue, be faithful. Because if you are faithful and you continue at that pace, don't be surprised. The other person that is on the receiving side, it might be able to mature as quickly, it might be able to mature well enough that it now becomes a mutual exchange within the relationship. Once again, the foundational truth you need to embrace for this life domain is this: give as good as you have and not as good as you get. And to do this, you need to be secure in the giftings that God has put inside of you. You need to be secure in the truth that God has placed inside of you. When you are secure in it, you will not be afraid to give more than you are getting. You will not be afraid to give less than you are getting. And you would have joy when you get to that season of relationship whereby you are giving as much as you are getting. With that, we come to the end of today's conversation. Like I said, if you want to find out more about these life domains on Instagram, just click on my bio. You find it, the 3 life relationship groups. Anywhere else, you find a link right under this video. Today, I pray for God to bring encouragement your way. Today, I pray that God will bring comfort to your way. That whatever it is that thing that is causing you to feel discomforted, that is causing you to feel challenged emotionally, mentally, I pray that God himself would give the comfort that you need for this season of life. Thank you very much once again for joining me. And I will be here 7 a.m. tomorrow, bright and early. Wish you guys a wonderful day. Thank you very much.